So I had a bit of an epiphany this afternoon. It was given to me, so I don't know if it's an epiphany. Somebody said something, I guess, that made sense about craft beer, and what he said was that craft beer doesn't make sense anymore because there are so many different rules and so many different practices that people lose track of what is quote really craft and what is not really craft. And he said, you know what? It's beer. Find good beer, drink good beer, enjoy good beer, and lighten the hell up. And I think one of the things that used to appeal to me about craft beer was that it was one more thing that I was able to be angry about. I could say, oh, this beer is crappy. Oh, this beer is sneaky. Oh, this isn't really a craft beer. But now that my palate's a little bit developed and I'm a little bit more confident, I can just say things are my favorite or things are not my favorite. And I don't have to be so mad about craft beer anymore. It's time for the Todcast.
You're listening to the Happy Hour Todcast, presented by GoodCleanFunLife.com. Find us on iTunes by searching GCFL and subscribe today.
Yes. You know what, Tony? This is Todd from GoodCleanFunLife.com.
I'm Tony Russo from No Relation. No Relation.
We still haven't gotten that right.
No, we will. The video transition was tough for us still. Remains difficult.
I tend to agree with you on you don't have to be mad about craft beer, and obviously working very closely with Brian Brushmiller over at Burley Oak, there's a lot of craft beer to be mad about, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's that claim of what is and what isn't, and that sort of thing.
Yes. So did a person make it, or did a person conceive of it? You know, I'm still always going to give preference to a small brewery over a large one. I'm going to still always give preference to a new brewery over an established one. But I'm not going to hate as much as I used to. I'm going to let the hate go from my life because it does make sense. There are two things, and there's probably a blog in this somewhere. There are two things that happen today as part of my regular internet surfing, and one was that, and the other one was an article about the ghost beer, beer made with ghost peppers. That was actually 16 Mile did one last year, and I tried it, and it was just like outrageously hot. I thought for the sense of being outrageously hot, and I got a little irritated about it, you know. But then this year, Third Wave brought out this this Old Bay flavored beer, but they can't call it Old Bay flavored beer because Flying Dog bought that license, and Flying Dog came out with an Old Bay flavored beer. Both beers are perfectly acceptable beers, and what it got me thinking was, you know, I used to hate things that were like just trying to be different for the sake of trying to be different, and now I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I'm in. Right. I'm still going to buy my favorite beers, and I'm still going to drink and love my favorite beers. And if you want to do something kooky, please do something kooky. I'll give you my $6. I'll give you my $10. I'll try your kooky beer, and if I don't like it, I won't buy it anymore. But I think we've reached a point where the quote craft beer revolution, you know, meet the new boss, same as the old boss kind of thing. That the revolution is won. You know, where that this is not a bubble waiting to happen. Right. All these breweries are here to stay, and they can have a little fun with it, and we should have a little fun with it too. Why should they have all the fun?
Well, and I think we're getting ready to launch the Kickstarter with Burley Oak, and finally 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's coming together, and and talking to Brian about it, it's kind of like it's part art and it's part business. And you can't hate too much on somebody else who's doing a good thing. You know, the litmus test is like if they're doing it authentically. I think that is what matters most. And if they're like, we had this in part of the interview. It's actually it didn't make it's like B-roll that we'll do for the little event that we're doing next week. That you'll only get to see there. But it's Brian talking about how people trust him to not put corn in his beer, not to put rice in, like to use quality ingredients, and to take a chance and spend $6, and whether they like it or not be, not feel like that was not a, dollars, ill spent, I think that's what it boils down to.
I was writing a pretend scathing Yelp review about my electrician last night that I didn't write or publish. But I was going through and I was putting things. I was putting back. We did a lot of work on that. So look, I'm back out of the space station Mir.
Yeah, it looks very nice.
This is where they keep me in the asylum.
Yeah. No trim on the windows because you might use that to kill yourself.
Yeah, there won't be any trim on the windows probably for 6 months, maybe for a year. That's a whole other story. That's we don't want to talk about that. But what we do want to talk about is this electrician guy. And so what I would like to say, but there's no way to say it, is he had a special way of making me feel like I got ripped off without ripping me off. You know what I mean? It's just like the work was almost shoddy and the stuff was almost not that. It was just right on the line of like, like you can only complain and sound like a whiner at this point.
Right.
He answered my phone calls. He was outrageously obnoxious. What an obnoxious son of a bitch. But so I'm thinking like there's really nothing to complain about except that I feel like he wanted to cheat me, And with the same thing with if you're going to do the additives thing, it just gives you the sense of, well, he would cheat me if he had the opportunity, if he felt like it. He just didn't happen to feel like cheating on his beer. You know what I mean?
I think you stand for the greatness in people, and you just wish he could have been better. Like not burning down a house because of an electrical fire is not a good reason or a good Yelp review.
Right.
For an electrician, it's That's
he did everything he said he was going to do, but I still feel like he ripped me off. I just can't tell how, and that's what right in there.
Well, I'm glad that you're back in the asylum there. It looks nice. Is paint going to get on the walls, or is that just?
Yeah, not in this room. We're probably not going to see paint for another month, maybe after my birthday. We're going to do the main. We're going to do the main house. I'm in the east wing here, and we'll be doing the main house hopefully this weekend. I still got to do all the ceilings. This is all primer, so I've got to do all the ceilings still. And then we've chosen a color for the main rooms, and because I'm cheap, and because you're the only one who sees my bedroom besides my wife, we might just, if we have enough, we're going to get 5 gallons of this main color. We may just bring that straight on through from the hallway into the bedroom, just to see how much tan one person can stand.
Sure.
So there may be paint, and you may not notice it. It may be just a hair darker than it is now.
That's the beauty of home design.
But I'm sorry, we were talking about the Kickstarter and the one more week. So tell me, lay that on me. How's that rolling out now?
So you're gonna hear it here first. It's up on Kickstarter, and we have all the approval process and that sort of thing. We still have some edits to do and some pictures to add and that sort of thing. I feel pretty good about it, and I think it's going to be a fun thing. It's interesting and I have to keep reminding Brian, because it's two communities. One, you're educating the Burley Oak fans and the Berlin fans, because we're really pitching. This is Berlin, America's coolest small town, in a can. And we're going to send it all over the East Coast. And, so that's one audience. So you're kind of educating them on what crowdsourcing is, what Kickstarter is. It's an all-or-nothing deal. You get reward, like all of that. But then we have to appeal to the Kickstarter community. And the Kickstarter community are people who, are just making things happen, $100 donation at a time, $1,000 donation at a time, and they're like, this is a cool project. I may be in Australia or Europe or even Northern California, and never taste this beer, but I like what they're doing. I like their attitude. I like the story, and I respect it. So I'm going to put my small portion towards it. It's really, it's a pretty interesting, community. And there's two audiences that we're dealing with. So I think appealing to both of them is going to be, it has been the lesson that we've learned in going through the process and research and getting all this set up for them.
Now, is there a time limit?
Yes. So we're gonna launch officially. No, we're gonna launch soft next Monday, and we're having a little screening of what's going on with just the militia members. There are like 200 militia members. These are the people who have, the specialty cards that have been there since day one, who've spent a lot of money on Burley Oak, and so they have reward, like a little card rewards program. And they're going to be there. We're going to show them the video. So that's obviously audience one. That's the local fans and that sort of thing. And then we do the relaunch on Tuesday. That's the social media. That's asking all of our friends and family to share the link, to sign on to Amazon and to be able to pay, and that sort of thing. So, and it's going to run for 40 days, which will close it out on October 17th, which is a Friday, which is the Friday before Berlin's Oktoberfest. So,
oh, cool.
The idea being that I certainly hope we get funded early, and then we can do some stretch goals. Like if we meet our goal, we have some stretch goals which will help us get the canning line sooner and get cans and get different beer in cans, and then we're going to be and then hopefully we have a nice little wrap-up party and we celebrate the success of it at the Berlin Oktoberfest, and it all kind of ties together. So
now there are a couple beer weeks coming up. Are they going to be promoted at these beer weeks? Because there's the Annapolis is coming up, or just happened, or
yeah, no, Annapolis is coming up. I'm not sure about the others, but I know they're going to be doing some traveling. And to me, I actually said to Brian the other day. Well, say typical like friend/client relationship. He's really excited because he got this this crowler, and it makes these big 32-ounce cans. You pour it and it's a little seamer for this big Foster's can but taller. It's called a crowler. It's not a growler. It's not a can. It's and he wants to keep pushing that, and I'm like, no, you can't use the word can unless it's associated with the canning line for the next 40 days.
Right.
So I'm trying to, I'm coaching him through. I'm saying this is, your mind, you do a great job with your social media presence and your posts and that sort of thing, but we have to be 100% on board with your mind for the next 40 days. And when you're at these beer festival, the Annapolis Beer Festival, their union guys are going to be there. It's a great opportunity to talk to them and their canning line. It's got to be all cohesive. And it's for for somebody like Brian, he's not he keeps going to the place where it's like, oh, all you have to do is rent this timeshare in Florida and get a free hotel room. And he doesn't want to do that. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll do that. I'll be the pitch guy. But
well, it's clearly not a scam.
Yeah. Well, but he's very aware of that, I think, and he doesn't want to have that sound. But I said, when you're aware of it, the authenticity is going to come through. It's like people aren't going to give money at Burley Oak or go online and donate money and think, oh, well, he's just going to buy a new surfboard with this or something.
He's going to buy a bigger beard trimmer or a smaller beard trimmer or something. Yeah, the thing about there's Kickstarter, which is I think, I'm sorry, there's so many things I want to talk about. First of all, Crowler. Now they have the little bottles. They have the half growlers at RAR,
Right.
which are bottles. Are you saying that this Crowler thing is a can?
It's a can. It's an aluminum can, so it takes the air out of it and seals it. So the idea being that it's fresher longer. So in other words, you buy a growler, and you take it to your dad's 70th birthday,
Right.
and you give it as a gift. Well, you kind of have to drink it that day or in the next.
Yeah, you got 3 days, maybe 5.
You got maybe 5 days. So it will stay fresher longer. So you can give it, and then he can say, oh, a week, whatever. I don't know what the time frame would be, but presumably it's longer.
I don't see the advantage of that at all. Is it reusable?
No. So well, here's the advantage, and this is why Brian wants to push it, or kind of make it cohesive with the Kickstarter for the Canyon line, is that to some people still, to the uneducated, craft beer out of a can is suspect. Like good beer comes out of bottles.
I do not know if I'm still here or if Todd's still here, but let me interrupt him and say no one believes that at all anymore. That is just something that people do not do. Like the number of people who don't drink beer from cans is shrinking. Can something shrink exponentially? Because if something can shrink exponentially, that's what it's doing. And so, for my money, it doesn't even make sense to talk about that. I mean, that demographic is so much smaller than it was even 2 years ago or 3 years ago that it's almost not worth mentioning, because, frankly, it's silly. I do not know if I'm going to get Todd back or not. Let's try reloading this. If I lose you kids, I am sorry. Let me copy that. And please stay tuned or re-stay tuned, and we will be joining you in a moment. I do not know what is what. It looks like we're still live, so I'm going to continue talking. For those of you who may have missed it, we were discussing the efficacy of cans, and whether or not people still didn't understand that cans weren't a thing. And there was some discussion about a public education campaign that would hopefully improve the I'm sorry, I'm trying to rejoin. I don't know if I'm still on or if I'm not still on.